Lots of reasons to talk on Friday with my friend and brother, Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer, Bulwark Capital Management. Really curious to get Zach's take on the insurance industry and the fires. And there's some news that Texas is suing Allstate because of an app. We'll talk about that. And then who makes money in these situations? Well, I know some people who are intended to make money. It's real estate speculators, right, Gavin Newsom?
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gavin Newsom's going to make sure ain't no real estate speculators coming in and buying things on the cheap. We'll talk about this with the help of Renew.Healthcare. That's RENUE.Healthcare, and with God Almighty.
The Todd Herman Show is 100% disapproved by big pharma, technocrats, and tyrants everywhere. No. From the high mountains of free America, here's the Emerald City exile, Todd Herman.
Today is the day the Lord has made, and these are the times through which God decided we shall live, meaning he has reason for planting us here at this period of time. Zach Abraham joins me, friend and brother, Chief Investment Officer, Bulwark Capital Management. Zach, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Good as always to be here.
You lived in California for a bit, right?
On a fishing boat. It wasn't an optional choice. It wasn't like I decided I wanted to live there, but
you actually did live in a fishing boat.
Yeah, I lived there. Yeah, I was is one of the ways I paid my way through school was worked on a fishing boat. That actually didn't end up paying for a lot of school because, as it turns out, I went down to Ventura, California for squid fishing season. And wouldn't you know it, I walked headfirst into the worst squid fishing season in 56 years. And a month on the boat cleared me $800.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? This is the reason I love you as a fund manager is there are very few people in your position who have ever done anything like that. I mean, if you've ever spent time around Silicon Valley or hedge funds, there's very few people like I shook hands with the guy once back when I was raising money out of Silicon Valley when I'd started lifting weights again. And he like, oh, well, let me see your hand. Are you hurt? No, those are calluses. Oh, can I see those? So how do you get those? Like,
it's called work.
And if you think I'm lying or exaggerating, it's that way.
No, my kids always like to ask me about it too, because, I was on an interview with my head of research and he and I, one of the ways he came to work with me is that he and I connected because neither of us are Ivy League guys. Neither of us are, came from, families with money or connections or anything like that. And we really wanted to break into, that hedge fund world, that higher level of managing money and all that kind of stuff. And we both came to the conclusion that if we're going to do it, it's not based on talent or ability, but if we're going to be able to if we want to be able to do this, we're going to have to do it on our own because that industry, they don't pick guys like us. We don't have the right pedigrees. But no, I mean, I sold Christmas trees, weighted tables, bus tables, painted,
stripped,
you name it, man. I was even a carny.
You didn't hear me say stripped.
Well, I still do that. I've got an OnlyFans channel.
Yeah, it's vocation versus avocation at this point, right?
Yeah.
Right,
well,
right.
So I'm a beautiful man, and I just want to share it with the world, right? So right. I think all those jobs, and I think it's great for kids, and I think it's great for me, and I think it gives you a rounded view of the world, and I think it's like part of an education.
No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And I mentioned California, obviously because of the fires. And I was looking at the costs, and I want to give you a second to think about this, but this is from Statista. So right now, the Western wildfire season 2018, $400 billion. Hurricane Helene, 225 to 250 billion costs. This is the primary and secondary costs, direct and indirect. Hurricane Milton, 160 to 180 billion. LA wildfires, 135 to 150 billion dollars in loss. One of the things I wanted to just plant in your mind to think about is who makes money in these situations, because I know there's people who look for a catastrophe as ways to make money. There's other people who make money, and I think kind of maybe in a more honest way, and it's looking at the gifts God gave them. There's a doctor named Dr. Patrick Gentempo, and God gave him the gift of communication. He's got a very successful podcast called Christ Revealed. And based on that, he's in fact chaired one of the most respected chiropractic organizations in the country for a number of years. Got to go to a trip to the Middle East. And when he was there, he was praying and he was reading the Bible. And he just noticed how many times herbs are mentioned and spices in almost a sacred way. And he was inspired to create Wisdom, which is a biblical-based herbal blend with about 6 spices and herbs. And it's all organic. And I take this now on a daily basis. It comes out of a dropper. It's incredibly potent, and it helps with your immune system. And it does something really cool with inflammation. It harnesses it to help you. Helps with mind, with calmness, clarity of mind. And again, it's all based on the Bible. And you can try this right now. Go to trywisdomnow.com/Todd, and you'll get 33% off when you stock up on Wisdom. You get a 180-day money-back guarantee. Plus, at trywisdomnow.com, you get free shipping. So have the calmness, the peace of mind, the help with the immune system, make inflammation your body's friend. Trywisdomnow.com/Todd. So, Zach, I'm looking at this right now, devastation in lives, the lies, the insanity that they allowed this to happen. It was predicted by everybody. But I'm now starting to step back and say, okay, putting on the cynical hat. I know California has a plan to build back better. I know there's smart city people coming in. I know there's people coming in to make money on this. So who are the kind of vulture capitalists that come into stuff like this?
Man, there's a lot, especially in the shooting gallery that is California. I mean, I from the outside looking in, I mean, I just think that whole state's for sale. Meaning, yeah, if you want to come in there with money and power, Newsom and those people are going to lay you at the run of the place.
Yeah.
Real estate speculators are going to be huge. You're going to see a lot of games played with people trying to accumulate more land and muscle people out of it. Outside of that, though, for the people that want to come in and, make money that way, when you talk about disasters like this, they don't tend to be big money makers for really anybody other than that. I mean, you're going to get the building supply companies in that area that get a boost.
Yep.
Home Depot, the world, lumber suppliers, things like that. But, these are bad for the homeowners. There's a disproportionate amount of these people that didn't have their homes insured
because it was canceled.
Wait, but here's the thing. And look, I like to think of myself as a very empathetic person.
Sorry, I wasn't listening to what you were saying.
Because I don't care. Right? but and I feel very sorry for this. So I don't want people to take this the wrong way. But unfortunately, the people of California are getting exactly what they voted for, right?
Yep.
And I will say this again. That's not a political statement. I know for a fact there are Democrats in the state of California that are capable of running that state and running that city in a responsible and efficacious way. I know for a fact there are. Okay. I'm not saying you need to go red. What I'm saying is you need to make hiring competent people one of your top 20 priorities, right? One of the things I've learned in life, whether we're talking about business, sports, whatever, success is really hard. And it's really hard when it is your singular focus. If it's not in your top 20 criteria for picking a leader, your chances of success are zero. They're zero. And you look at this, would any of these people voting in California elections use the same criteria to select a nanny or a babysitter for their children?
No. And this is an endless source of frustration for me. You have some of the smartest money people in the world, some of the smartest entrepreneurs in the world, and you don't have to like their products, but they run successful companies. There's not a chance that, for instance, the reservoirs were empty. They didn't pre-position fire trucks because they were afraid of overtime, but all the DEI money. They didn't go clear the forest. They didn't rake the forests. None of these things happened. And they're going to get reelected. And these are the same people who, if you went into their business, let's say the boss comes into the business one day and 5 days in a row, he's like, hey, hey, hon, can you bring me some coffee? Oh, sorry, we're out of coffee. And then that's on Monday. Tuesday comes in. Hey, hon, can you bring me some coffee? Yeah, we're out of coffee. What? Okay, go get me some coffee and order some. Wednesday, hey, hon, where's my coffee? Okay, we're still out. Done. You know it, and I know it. That person is gone. And maybe that's rightly so. And or likewise, what do you mean my limo's out of gas?
Did you see the one with the? I believe it's. I'm not sure the position that she has in the fire department. But did you see the one where she said, "What do you mean carry him out?" What I tell him is, "Why did he get into a fire in the first place?"
Right. I mean, if I have to carry him out, he's got himself in the wrong position.
Well, I sat there and I went, wait, hold on a second. Are you telling me that carrying a 200-pound dummy over your shoulders down a flight of stairs is not a requirement for every single fireman? Getting me out of the fire is your job. That's why you have a job.
Yep. She was the assistant fire chief, and her job is to look like other short-haired, black, heavy lesbian women.
She was like, if when somebody comes, if they look like you do, sit there, go, actually, lady, I don't think anybody gives a damn how you look when they're in a fire. They want to know that you're going to get them out.
Right.
That's like, that is it. It is a one answer test. And if you get that one answer wrong, nothing else matters.
I had a friend of mine say this on social media. She said, I guarantee, she said, as a 140-pound middle-aged woman, I guarantee the last thing I want to see coming through the door if I'm fighting for my life in a fire is another 140-pound middle-aged woman. Yeah, I want a 220-pound, 6'3" firefighter who's going to pick me up by the, the arm, throw me over his arm, and run out the door.
This reminds me of the scene in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is talking to Saruman, and he says to him, when did Saruman the Wise become a man of, when he's advocating that Gandalf joins him in Sauron, and he said, well, with something along the lines of, when did Saruman the Wise become a man of foolishness or something like that?
Alex is laughing, the producer, because he knows this by heart.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a great line.
Yeah.
But you look at these people and you go, what are we doing here?
Right. I agree. Let's just Alex, correct us both on the line here. Guys, are you okay with this, Zach? This has never happened.
Alex, straighten us out. Straighten us out.
I'm so sorry. I just have to say, he said, when did Saruman the Wise abandon reason for madness?
There we go. There we go. Yes. That's the quote. But it's where you're looking around going, okay, whoa, hold on. I know you guys are into this whole DEI thing.
Right.
But you went as far to do it with firemen?
Okay, but Zach, I'm going to give you the most astonishing statement from Newsom and then from the Free Press, which is an otherwise great organization. Newsom. Well, there's a lot of debate on if having the water would even make a difference. And look, I've talked to firefighters, and I mean, having the water, he merchandised the idea that 117 million gallons of water versus 3 million may not have made a difference. And you know what I can present as a counter argument? A 81-year-old man who refused to leave his home and instead put a pool pump into his pool water and rescued his entire house, a massive estate. You want to know what he did, Zach? When he saw sparks land,
he sprayed water on them.
He sprayed water on them.
I was reading an article about a guy that did it with a garden hose. Every house in the neighborhood burned down. He fended off, saved his house with a garden hose, right?
Yes.
And you look at it and go, what is the percentage? I don't want to overstate it, but some crazy percentages of fire hydrants weren't even operational.
Right, about 40%, I think.
Yeah, just the level of incompetence. If these people continue to vote, like I said, man, I'm not sitting here saying you have to vote Republican to get competent leadership.
Right.
I'm not saying that. If you continue to vote for these same people, you just hey, you know when a good idea to leave town is? When you can't get your house insured, right?
Yep.
Why in the hell were these people staying there?
And
when you can't get your house insured.
Well, they had the California Fair thing to back them. After the insurance companies, I think, were forced to leave, Or maybe they're waiting for the big Build Back Better because, I'm a very cynical guy and they'd love that Build Back Better because there's going to be condos where there were single family houses. Mark my words, this is going to be now Santa Monica is going to change completely. These beautiful single family homes are gone, but they were forced to leave. They had the California Fair, right? That's the California insurance thing that if there's no insurance available, you get that. $756 million in that fund. $756 million. In an area like Santa Monica, that's a block of houses. You're talking about maybe 20 houses, maybe 30 in Santa Monica, the beach.
But here's the kicker. The kicker to me is they did exactly what they told you they were going to do, right? Like you're surprised that this state has run this incompetently and to Newsom and the mayor's credit. And I really mean this. They are doing exactly what they told the voters they would do. They're being true to their word, right? They're focused on the things that they said they'd be focused on.
That's true.
We sat there the whole time going, guys, don't do this. You don't want it run that way, but you voted that way. Now you're all up in arms because you got exactly what you bought. And that's what I have a problem with, where I'm literally looking at people going, hey, if you didn't vote that way, why are you still living there? And if you did vote that way, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you complain about it.
Yep.
Like, yes, I feel horrible for you. I'm not minimizing the loss of life. I'm not minimizing law. It's awful. But if I can't stop you, if you're not going to listen to me when I tell you that stove, that burner on that stove that is currently red, that it's hot, and you got to put your hand on it to test it, I feel bad you're burned, but don't expect me to cry about it with you because it's just completely self-inflicted.
And we're going to pay for it, though. Figurehead Biden was caused to say on his way out the door, the federal government's going to cover 100% of the initial rebuild. Meanwhile, in Western North Carolina, and this is now confirmed, FEMA was kicking people out of hotel rooms.
Yeah.
This weekend. They have no place to go. And Figurehead Biden's caused to say this on the spot. And I want to extend the insurance conversation just a bit for just a second here, Zach. After we talk about Bone Frog Coffee, bonefrogcoffee.com/Todd. This is a big coffee day for me. Wednesdays are big days. As Zach and I are sitting down to record this, big, long days for me. I talk for about 7 hours straight. So this is now this will be the 30th ounce of Bone Frog Coffee for the day, plus some supplements I may have taken earlier to work out, and I did take. If you are drinking coffee and you love the lift of it, it's an antioxidant. For me, it helps fight against depression. The only question is which coffee to drink. Let's go eliminate some companies. There's that company that likes to talk about rifles and a certain color of the rifles. Maybe it's good coffee. Never had it. I know this. When Kyle Rittenhouse needed his Second Amendment and used his rifle of a certain color, that company criticized him on Twitter. Disqualified. Starbucks, well, if you like a company that helped donate to the Mermaid Fund, which chemically and surgically altered, let's say it that way, kids, have at. That's Starbucks. What else do we have? Folgers. I used to drink that. Doesn't taste great. Company DEI doesn't really care about our values. The coffee at Bone Frog is made by Tim Cruikshank, a founder, the founder, former Navy SEAL, committed to excellence, so God Country team on every bag that will never change. And Tim found a mentor, Dave Stewart, who effectively started the Seattle coffee craze, in other words, good coffee. It was so good that Howard Schultz had to purchase it when he took Starbucks public. And Dave is your mentors or makes these roasts. So that's the decision matrix. What would stop you from subscribing right now to Bone Frog Coffee and just switching your coffee? It'll come to your house automatically, often with a handwritten note from Tim himself. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/Todd. You'll get 15% off subscription coffee, bonefrogcoffee.com/Todd. So do you agree with me, Zach, that my understanding is that California came and capped how much insurance companies could charge, how much they could raise their rates? So insurance companies looking at some of the richest contracts in the world with some of the richest people who have no problem paying out through the teeth for insurance, they actually had to cancel because they do risk analyses, right? Don't insurance companies, and particularly in big homes like this, if they see fire damage as a risk, they're getting out. So is that what you've heard as well?
Yeah, well, and not just fire damage, but the certainty of it, right? Which was, this is sort of like, I'd make it akin to the whole Cascadia earthquake event here in Washington State, right? Which, if you live here, this is the Cascadia fault, and it is bound to produce a large earthquake at some point, right? It's only a matter of time. Well, a lot of experts were been saying that for the last, several decades, and saying that, look, it is only a matter of time until one of these fires that originates in the hills moves its way down and rolls through LA proper all the way to the ocean. That's not a surprise, right? So when you see, on top of that, you see that ever-present risk, and a guy like Gavin Newsom, they're coming in and they're making literally uneconomical insurance standards. Insurance companies leave. It's right. That simple. If you're not going to let me charge an amount that effectively allows me to, underwrite that risk, then I'm not going to take it. And, once again, what you're seeing here in LA, and I know you know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but what you're just seeing is a classic example of ideology running up against reality. And like you and I have said, reality's undefeated.
Math wins. I don't love insurance companies. I mean, I see the importance of them. Obviously, we have insurance in our house, and so do you. And I have MediShare. It's a company I don't respect, but I have them. I don't know. Would it be possible? I mean, what would you think about requiring insurance policies to have some cash value? Here's my thing: is they're leaving. They know government's a risk. They know California is a socialist communist state. You've been paying into this so long and you've got nothing from it. You've never filed a claim, and they walk away. Hey, thanks so much. 100% margin on your business. Appreciate that. You never got a dime from us. We never did anything for you. We're canceling.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, I think they should actually be forced to say, here's some cash value.
I don't disagree with you in principle, but I disagree with you in practice, meaning if a state chooses to make ridiculous policy like California does, then I do not think that the reason you're exiting that state, like, it shouldn't hurt your business because an idiot named Gavin Newsom, unilaterally changes insurance standards based on nothing other than electability and wanting to say he lowered premiums, right? It's one of these. It's classic modern liberalism, right? We're gonna treat the symptom, and in doing so, we are going to risk stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we're gonna get rid of this little inconvenience, but we're gonna bring into it this existential threat. Right? The cost benefit analysis of these people is as bad as any I've ever seen. Right? They continue to buy a dollar for $5. They make the wrong decision at every turn. So no, I would say if it was a predatory type of practice where the insurance company was, let's say the state hadn't completely turned around its insurance standards and made these, then I think something like that should be able to kick in. Right. But when it's purely caused by the state, which is in the case of California, then I think you should be able to leave and not have to give anybody anything.
Fair enough.
Once again, at some point, we've got to return to caveat emptor. And another part of that, and it's another thing that quite frankly ticks me off about the federal government stepping in. They made their choice. They hired these people. They voted these people in.
So they agree with that.
These people made their decisions. They got to carry the cost.
So they agree with that. If I were to suggest one change, I've been trying to think about how you can hold office holders responsible, because and I know our Constitution effectively forbids suing government officials for decisions they made in either going to work or being at work in their official duties. And that wasn't invented for President Trump. That was simply the Supreme Court going, yep, that's what the Constitution says.
Right.
Here's what you could do, and this is what I would love to see states do. You take this lady who supposedly managed the water supply. You've heard that number, $750,000 a year. Did you know that's her base salary? Base. So you take her. You take
this is how they are paying their water manager, who's clearly not good at her job, double what they pay the United States president.
Right. Exactly. As a base, meaning she can get bonuses. So here's
what a gig, man.
I know.
I want to sell work and be the head of their water board.
You do a better job, because you might on day one you might walk in and go, so are the reservoirs full? Oh,
yep.
Hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. Well, they're not. And then you're going to fill them, and then it's going to be like, this guy's a genius.
Yeah, he's sharp.
He came in.
We got to pay him $1 million a year.
You came in and filled it. So here's what I've come up with. You can't sue them for their jobs. Okay, here's what you can do. They're going to sign off on inspections for critical infrastructure. She's going to sign a piece of paper that says, I attest under penalty of criminal perjury, felony perjury, that I attest that the reservoirs are full and in working order, the fire hydrants are in working order. I attest to this. And if she can't, she doesn't. Then she says, I do not attest to this. Now you have her on public record that she refuses to do this. If she lies, then you have a contract. Now you already said criminal perjury. You're making a statement of truth to the people. I mean, that would be one way to exact some accountability.
It would. And philosophically, I love it because, I think you and I are both the same that way. Huge fan of personal responsibility and accountability and whatever boosts that. At the same time, I don't know that I'm in favor of it. And the reason why I say that is voters have to start bearing the weight of the votes that they cast.
I totally agree with you. And yes.
Because we have a mechanism to deal with these people. It's called voting.
We do.
Right.
But when Gavin Newsom can go on TV and Adam Schiff both say the reservoirs were full.
Caveat emptor, man. You get the government you deserve. And if people want to keep voting these people in, philosophically, I'm right there with you, man. It's infuriating. I'd love to see these people pay. At the same time, these are the idiots the electorate picked. If they like them, then deal with it. What my problem is that federal funds now are coming in to clean up the idiocy and that to me is the whole deal.
That you and I are in firm agreement there. That President Trump has said, and he said now, you want FEMA funds? Fix your forests and your water, or you're not getting any.
100%.
Right. So I agree with that as well.
And they're going to try to make him look like he's an opportunist now. He's trying to take advantage of the fires. They're going to do all that nonsense. And I just it's madness. It would be patently irresponsible if he didn't do that.
Yeah. You know who else did that? You know who else said no money if you don't do what I say? Hitler.
Well,
right.
It's a good comp.
We need to talk about one other aspect of the insurance industry, which will get us into then a conversation. You mentioned to me earlier, you saw something in the Zuckerberg interview with Joe Rogan I didn't see. And I want to talk about with you a second about that. If I sound like I'm stuttering, as I just mentioned, I had a ton of coffee, and this is a big coffee day for me. Wednesdays are big recording days, going on like 7 hours of talking straight. So triple down on Bone Frog today, which means I'm going to have trouble sleeping. That's what that means. I know this. So I know I'm going to go have a second workout when I get home. I know that's going to help, but I also know this. I will quadruple down on Magnesium Breakthrough and Sleep Breakthrough. Okay, this is a product stack I use when I know sleep is going to be a challenge. So Magnesium Breakthrough helps with things other than sleep. Regularity is one of the things it helps with, abating stress by controlling the stress hormone cortisol. It, in fact, is responsible for 600 important body interactions. And sleep tonight is going to be my focus. So I'm going to take 4 versus 2 Magnesium Breakthrough. And every time I do this, I start to feel warm. And I get this relaxed feeling. And I know tonight's going to be particularly challenging because of my caffeine load that even for me today is huge. So I'm going to stack Sleep Breakthrough, which comes in powdered form. And I drink that. And I'll take that just before going to sleep. Actually, what I do is I don't drink it. I scoop it in my mouth and have a swallow of water. That way I don't have a bunch of water before I go to sleep. You can have the same ability to deal with regular sleep issues, regularity, and important key sleep issues like tonight. Go to bioptimizers.com/Todd. Use promo code Todd to get 10% off. And when you subscribe to products like Magnesium Breakthrough and Sleep Breakthrough, you're always going to have products on hand. Plus, you're going to get access to exclusive discounts and exclusive gifts. Go to bioptimizers.com/Todd, promo code Todd. So, Zach, Ken Paxton, who they tried to impeach and get rid of in Texas, the shiny-shoed Republicans and Democrats in the Bush family, is suing Allstate and Arity for unlawfully collecting, using, and selling over 45 million Americans' driving data to insurance companies. And the way they got this, surprise, 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 is the app. People download the app so they can have the convenience of, I don't know, checking their accounts, paying their bills via the phone, which is something I don't do. And that app was driving right along with you, and it's looking at your speed and the amount of turns you're making. It's comparing that against a map, and they're selling that to other companies. When this happens, are you shocked and stunned and taken aback? Are you looking at this going, wait a minute, does anyone think they're not doing this?
Yeah, I mean, look, unless if a company is not doing that, you're going to know they're not doing it, because they're going to go to every length to tell you and demonstrate to you constantly that they're not doing it.
Yes.
If they're not doing that, they're selling every single piece of data they have on you. Just know that, right? If they are telling you that they're not doing it, it's a trust but verify scenario. But if they're not saying anything to you, then they're selling everything.
Everybody must understand something. Apps on your phones are spy devices.
Yes, that's why they're trying to push you in them.
Right.
Right? That's why they've made the functionality on a lot of the websites purposefully not as good, to push you into the app, because the app is like a captive place, right? It's embedded into your phone, gives them access to data on other apps, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, you're looking at the guy who worked with the team to try to get Microsoft to release the iPhone before the iPhone was invented. I didn't invent the UI. I couldn't do anything like that. I couldn't invent a shell and replacement. There were incredibly smart scientists who did that because they hated the way the Microsoft phone worked, but they brought me to get a business model in. I'm like, oh, we call them applets.
You know what's funny, man? And I don't understand, speaking of Microsoft, I don't understand why they don't team up with Google and go make a competitor to the iPhone. I mean, the iPhone's trash.
Okay, we're going to talk about the iPhone trash thing. Just one thing I want to mention real quick. QR codes, do you use them?
I have, yeah, when it's applicable.
Okay, I want everybody to think about this. A QR code, everyone knows what that is. That's that gobbledygook square. People say, point it at the QR code. Here's a question. Do you know what else your phone could take a picture of and send you to a website? A URL.
Oh.
Take a picture of the URL and your phone will go there. So why do you think QR codes are not human readable?
I don't know.
Because it's causing your phone to undertake functions they don't want you to know about.
Oh.
You're taking a picture of it, and your software on your phone is sending you to a website. And gosh, you know what they're going to find out is it sent you to the website and said, oh, by the way, it's this model phone. Here's the device ID. This is the Wi-Fi they're using. Then they can take that data and apply that to, okay, so device ID, this is this Wi-Fi. Here's this person's taking another QR code. Hey, same person. Wait a minute. Now we can figure out where they live. And this is the way they triangulate through on this data to try to figure out who we are. And they very quickly get there. And if people don't understand, these are just utter spy devices. I was at, there's a pizza place I go to once a week called Embers on the Lake at Hauser, Idaho. And the other day, I'm on Facebook, which I use for content. And this face pops up of an employee. People you might know. I'm like, yeah, I know that kid. He works at the pizza place. Now, I'm 57. I don't know how old he is. I'm guessing 21. We've never gone to the same school. I have my phone locked down. Like no location data, no microphone, no camera, none of those things. And so he is recommending that I become friends with this kid young man who works at Embers. So how'd they do that? And I finally figured it out. It's device proximity.
Yeah.
He has all his stuff turned on. So I sit there and I have a conversation with him about NCAA football, the NFL, and it's going into his phone. My device is proximate to that. So at some point or another, my device ID got into some database, and here we go. Now it's popping me out and basically an ad to ping this guy. So, of course, what 57-year-old men do is then ask to be friends with a 21-year-old kid who works at a restaurant, because that's not creepy in the least. Right? Nothing creepy about that. He'd be absolutely thrilled. Hey, you know that old man who comes in by himself? He wants to be friends on Facebook. I think I'll say yes. So you had a fascinating conversation you were telling me about regards Apple and Mark Zuckerberg. We'll talk about this in a second. I do want to once again present this scenario to you. This is a lifetime scenario, and this is a fact for life. You're going to clean your body unless you are disgusting. And if you choose to be disgusting, your business, I'll affirm that. That's what we are. We're an affirming society. Or like you're going to use soap. So again, in the cabinets at the bathroom, do you have any excuse for the soap you buy? Truly, and I'm not saying excuse, but any reason at all. Well, it's just soap. All right, for the rest of your life, when you're going to be alive, you might spend $100,000 on soap. Why not use it from a soap company that cares about you? This is Allen Soaps. They care because the product is made in America. It's all natural. It's made by a family with 3 generations of soap making expertise. More importantly, they care about treating people the way God wants us to treat people. These are young people who would not be able to work in the world because they have autism, high up on the spectrum, nonverbal. Many of them have very significant structural concerns, challenges, surgeries, etc. They work at Allen's and they do a killer job. Allen himself is 14. He's been through 18 operations. Go to allensoaps.com/Todd. You get 10% off everything there, obviously including the soaps. And what did you call them the other day, Alex, the things that you wash your face with? Loofahs and soap racks. It's allensoaps.com/Todd. That's allensoaps.com/Todd. So, Zach, you had yourself a conversation with a guy who might know a little bit about the things Mark Zuckerberg was talking about with Apple. And let's start there. Zuckerberg, apparently you heard him on Rogan say something that you've been saying about Apple for a long time. I think the word trash came out of your mouth.
Yeah, look, it's odd to say this because I know so many people have big chunks of Apple sitting in their portfolios. The stock has performed so well. Everybody loves it. But Apple to me is the classic example, and I've been saying this for a while, of a company that's began to let the CPAs run it, and a company that is completely has a dearth of innovation. It is an innovation black hole. The only new product they brought to market is that VR headset, which was garbage, for $3,000 a piece. Tim Cook couldn't innovate himself out of a wet paper bag. Their growth rates have completely fallen off. They are not making increased profits by bringing new products to market. They're increasing new products by trapping you further into their ecosphere and figuring out new ways to nickel and dime you on the service side. That's where their growth is coming from. You go look at the iterations of phone. The last iteration of phone that came out, the innovation in that phone was that it had a titanium outside, right? They want you to pay $1,800 for the new phone, even though the new phone basically has no new capabilities. But why do you pay up for the new phone? Because all of a sudden, remember when you first bought an iPhone? I remember at one point my dad, this was probably like 5 or 6 years ago, he still had like an iPhone 6. And the reason he still had it is because those old school iPhones were indestructible.
Yeah.
Okay. You get these new iPhones. I don't care what Apple is telling you. They have started doing planned obsolescence.
Oh gosh,
These new iPhones last a third of what the older ones do. Every time I get a new update, all of my other apps that aren't Apple don't run as well. They're buggy. Apple is going down the road that you've seen so many other companies go down, which is it is easier to nickel and dime our customers than it is to innovate. And unless you get a change in leadership, you will continue to see this company go down this path because it's a tale as old as time. And, the one thing is how quick, I don't know, because they're in such a dominant market position.
Yep.
But you're one company coming up with a phone and an ecosystem access or ecosystem to rival Apple. And I think Apple could get flipped over rather quickly.
That would be so entertaining. You can't see this, but this is my iPhone 8, complete with the electrical tape covering up the crack in this top of the screen, some more down here. And finally, I found an app that won't support this because they're not going to put iOS 7 or 17 on this. So they're trapping me at 16.5. I use this phone because it's small and I don't like the company, so I don't want to give them more money. And yes, they've trapped me because, but all my music and I get that. And that's the walled garden thing. And I'm telling you, I worked at Microsoft when they were in the same mental position. And I remember exactly hearing this from big time execs. I'm talking like corp SVPs.
Yep.
Where are they going to go?
Yep.
Where are they going to go?
They always go somewhere, though.
Right.
Right.
I remember people saying when I started to see the earbuds, white earbuds, when there were the iPods in New York. And I was like, wow, they're everywhere. And I said something to a VP about, do you notice all those iPods, they're white? He goes, yeah, why is that? I go, why is that? Because no one walks around with their music player showing it to everybody.
Yeah.
But only Apple thought of the white headphones. Oh,
Yeah.
that's not going to make a difference.
No, it signifies that you owned an iPod.
Right. It's an ad. Right. I want an iPod too, because, and now it just multiplies.
Yep.
And Microsoft was in this age of arrogance. They couldn't possibly see that they were getting out innovated by Apple on this front on the phones. And I remember when Ballmer put the word out, we got to kill the iPod. And I was just laughing. You're 5 years late, Steve.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And not only that, but just dealing with them in other they're not a very smart company. They're just not. Like that VR headset that they launched, we were looking at that going, that's going to be a bomb. And it was. And they were no surprise. Why? Because we had experience and we'd done due diligence in that industry.
So Zuckerberg said the same thing though, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, Zuckerberg said the exact same thing and just said that, basically accused them of being anti-competitive and monopolistic without using those same words. But in that conversation, you brought up something that I think is even more interesting. When we were talking about Zuckerberg, you said, has he been red-pilled?
Yeah.
And it certainly sounds like that, right? And I think there is an element of that. But I had a really fascinating conversation this last Friday night. I was out to a dinner with there's about 10 of us at this dinner, and all of us were in the industry managing money. We got together at a dinner, friends and associates. We get together. We do these dinners a couple times a year, just to share ideas and hear what other people are thinking and that kind of stuff. And one of the guys there was the guy who as of about 5 years ago, was the guy that was the head of Peter Thiel's personal hedge fund. So he managed Peter Thiel's personal money. Worked hand in hand with Thiel for several years. And we started going down that conversation, and we were talking about, because Peter Thiel would be one that people would say has been red-pilled as well. For those of you that don't know, Peter Thiel founded Palantir. He founded PayPal with Elon Musk. Prominent guy in one of these Silicon Valley giants, probably worth 10 to 15 billion, something like that. And I said to him, I go, Mike, are these guys, are they like sociopaths and narcissistic, meaning the only thing they care about is money and power? And he goes, no. He said they have other concerns. They're more altruistic than that. But he goes, what they do is they always believe they're right. They always believe they're morally justified, and they think they've got all the right ideas, and they think they're doing it for all the right reasons. He goes, they do not question their own motives. And he goes, so everything Peter Thiel says that does he believe that? Yes. But he also believes it unyielding, meaning he will not question himself. These guys think they're gods of the universe, and it's scary. That's scary. And it was just interesting to hear it from his perspective, because he likes him personally. They had a good working relationship, but it was just, I was trying to figure out, are these guys, do they mean what they say? Or are they just speaking to get the desired, what they want? Is it totally self-serving, or is it somewhere in the middle? Do they believe some of the hype? And what he said basically was, it's further toward the self-serving, but they don't, it's not just blindly about money, but usually that's the underlying driver, which is odd for people that are that rich. Like, if you're worth 20 billion, how does another 2 billion change anything for you?
Right.
It doesn't. I mean, there's no difference in that. Right. But what he said is they do not question their motives. They do not question their own goodness. They do not question their ability to make bad decisions. And one of the biggest reasons for that is they haven't made a lot of them, right? Meaning some of the biggest calls in their life they've gotten right. And what they've done is they've confused that, thinking that they're infallible when, yeah, they're brilliant. But, like you and I both know, and anybody that's run a successful business, if they're honest, will tell you this, that yes, there's a lot of things that we did to make that success happen, but there were also fortuitous, lucky things that happened along the way.
Right.
It's impossible. Any successful entity will tell you that, whether it's a sports team, a company, a political party, whatever it is. You got to get things to roll your way to, right?
So Zuckerberg's not going to be a guy who's going to sit and be introspective and self-reflective saying, well, how come I gave into the government when they told me I had to take down truthful information about COVID? He's not going to spend 5 seconds on that. It's going to be, I was right. I did the right thing. And now I'm doing the right thing. Now I'm talking about it. Now this is the right thing.
And they're going to play to the audience too, right? I mean, there's like there, it is not basically what I was saying is I was like, are any of these guys altruistic? And Mike was just like, no, not in the way that you and I think of it. He goes, again, I've got no complaints about Teal. He was great to work for. I like him personally, fair guy. But he goes, do they believe they're God's? Do they believe they're infallible? Do they believe they're right? 100%.
These are my Silicon Valley morality establishing quotes. Number one, I'm at a company that had never turned a profit, that wasn't going to turn a profit. The CEO was buying a helicopter. Despite having never turned a profit, he was buying one because Steve Jobs had one. They had lunch. I went and they invited me to lunch. I was doing business with these guys, so I got to eat lunch with them. They had a live lobster tank.
It was the lobster lunch, right?
Yeah, live lobster. They're pulling lobsters out of tanks. They're making fresh omelets. They had brought in, people were picking herbs off of the plant that they'd carried in planters. Did you want a banana? Because we have a banana tree. And I said, this is a direct quote. I said to the CEO, so what's the occasion? He goes, what do you mean? Well, I mean, this is pretty amazing food. Oh, work hard, play hard. Okay, that one. And then Museum of Technology in San Jose, California. Getting ready to have a Draper Fisher and Jurvetson company meetup where all of us CEOs, Tim's CEOs, and the other guys' CEOs got to present their companies and meet other CEOs networking. I'm walking around. I talked to a lady in a $10,000 cocktail dress, which I learned later from someone who was there. Said that dress cost $10,000. And she's eating mashed potatoes and gravy out of a very expensive martini glass. And she said to me, and I quote, I would really like to help poor people. I just don't know where to find any.
Are you talking about that Bulwark lunch you attended a couple weeks ago?
Well, I didn't want to name any names.
Yeah, I mean, live lobster, we just refer to it as the aquarium.
Right.
Matter of fact, I got
it's
one
just
coming
lunch.
in
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring in that tail.
I want it still twitching. But she said that in the presence of waiters and waitresses who are earning minimum wage. So I totally agree with that assessment. And if only there was a biblical quote about treasure. I mean, there's not, because God never said anything about treasure or... Oh!
It's quite a few, actually.
Yeah. He talked about money a lot. Do not store up treasure on earth where thieves and moths can get at it, but treasure in heaven. Mm-hmm. Right? That's to paraphrase the last part. Always appreciate you coming on, my brother. Thank you so much. Say hello to the beloved BIPOCs.
I will do so. Thank you, sir.
I'll say hello to my white family, the bitter clingers that they are, sitting there clinging.
Well, yeah, and please communicate to your wife that that she needs to be more constructive in the language she chooses.
Oh no!
The reason I'm telling you that is because I think that will probably go over just as good with her as it would mine.
Got it.
So, have fun with that one. Let me know how that goes.
This is the Todd Herman Show. Please go be well, be strong, and be kind. Please make every effort to walk in the light of Christ.